25. Issue 8. Infinity. Kind of ties into Thanos and the stones. New Champion of Shazam. Hi, I'm Glenn Simpson, and I've collected comics for over 40 years, and I'm showing off my collection one box at a time. Today we're looking at box number 112. We begin looking at series that start with the word new. We begin with New Adventures of Superboy, make our way through some new Avengers, some various things, and we're going to find ourselves at the end at New Excalibur with some more new stuff and then following boxes. So thanks so much for being here. Please like and comment and subscribe. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know if there's anything inside any of these packs that you'd like to see. I'll make a special video about that. But hey, let's get going with box number 112 here on Glenn Simpson's Comics. All right, so we begin this box with New Adventures of Superboy. So in the late 1940s, mid to late, Superboy gets his own book, which was the concept that Superman had not waited until he was an adult to become a superhero. He had actually become a superhero when he was, a boy. And that series ran, even after superheroes kind of faded. The Superboy, concept continued. In the 50s, the idea of the Legion of Superheroes would be added as a bunch of superheroes in the future, kid superheroes who were inspired by Superboy and would come to the present and invite him to be a member. And so gradually that concept began to take over the book. He began spending more and more time in the future, in the stories, and ultimately that series shifted over to being Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes, and then eventually it became just Legion of Superheroes. And at the point where it became Legion of Superheroes, they sort of at the same time said, well, they took Superboy out, and we said, well, let's go back to him having solo adventures in Smallville, as a teenager. And so with this New Adventures of Superboy, they said, okay, well, we're going to progress him up to 16, and we're going to, again, tell those sorts of boyhood stories. So that's what this New Adventures of Superboy is. There's also notable that they misspelled electrifying on the cover. Nobody caught that. And here we go. So real simple kinds of, fun stories, not too deep. But that's issue 1. Lots of Superman lore. Issue 2. Right there. Issue 4. Guy from the future sends his consciousness back to his teenage body and enables it to fight Superboy. Issue 5, there. Issue 8. So Clark, to protect his secret identity, Clark Kent gets in a fix that Superboy can't figure out how to get himself out of without revealing his secret identity. So he has to actually wind up let him be dead long enough to, find a way to explain it. Issue 8. Issue 9. One of my earliest DC Comics, as you can see from all of the spine ticks, if those are coming through, if they were to come through. Fighting the Phantom Zone villains. 9. Through issue 12. Most of the issues had a main story and then a shorter story in the back. Uh, 13. There. Through 16. Superboy meets the Earth 2 Clark Kent, who really doesn't have much in the way of powers yet. He has a little bit. That's why he doesn't become Superman until he's a full-grown man. She's 17. Got some crypto action. Issue 20. There. Issue 21. Issue 34. Of course, you also had Super Baby, which was Clark as a baby, having, you know, all of these sorts of weird, you know, things happen, and he you know, gets into a little bit of trouble with his powers, and his parents have to cover up what he's doing, but he means well, and he's got his little suit made from the you know, from the blankets from the rocket ship, because they're the only thing that can you know, stand up to his that are durable enough to stand up to what he puts them through. Issue 25. And here in issue 28, the backup feature becomes Dial H for Hero. Now, this had started in Adventure Comics, and the idea here is you got this boy and this girl who have these little devices that look like that, and they can dial HERO, and when they do, they turn into a superhero for an hour. They turn into a different superhero every hour. And this is a concept that was created many years earlier, but what they changed about this mid-80s version is people could send in ideas for superheroes and supervillains for them to fight, and that's what they would use for the characters that the boy and the girl would turn into. So that was not always a part. I hear people say sometimes that was always a part of the concept, but it really didn't. The original Dial H for Hero, they just made up the superheroes that he would turn into. The writers did. It wasn't until this 80s version that he started, and then that was the last time too. They brought back the concept again later, but again, the writer would just create whatever superhero they wanted the hero to turn into. So that's issue 28, issue 29. There. Issue 32. Getting away from the Kurt Schaffenberger covers. Getting some other artists like Gil Kane. 32. Issue 33. Through 36. Rich Buckler cover. Issue 37. Ross Andrew. Still more Dial H for Hero. They need to do just a whole book of. I've seen there's a Showcase Presents Dial H for Hero, but it's just the original. Surely there's no rights issues with doing the later version. Through issue 40. Dick Giordano inks on that. You always know when Giordano inks something, man. Like Jerry Ordway. 41. Gil Kane. Cover there. The Gil Kane cover. 44. Issue 45. We've got Japanese, it was a Japanese movie, like in movies, and then it turns out he really has superpowers, and he turns out to be a hero, which actually I was a little scandalized when I read this as a kid, because I'm like, well, wait, Superman's supposed to be this first, superhero. This was pre-Crisis. So Superman's supposed to be the first. What's up with that? But anyway, issue 45 through issue 48. Lex Luthor getting powers. This is, of course, because it's pre-Crisis. Lex Luthor is a teenager growing up in Smallville as well, or he would have been growing up in Smallville if he hadn't gotten put in prison for trying to commit crimes and kill Superboy. Committing crimes. Issue 49. Dial H for Hero. 52. Crypto. I don't know how I feel about the change in sort of breed of Crypto from the comics to the movies. I just, I don't hate. I think it is more kind of funny that a more fluffy breed like they used in the movie has all those powers and things, but the purist in me wishes it was more of a, I don't know what you would call that, a hound. Then we get to 53. And 54 is the final issue of Superboy. So that was what they were going to do, as I understand it, was Superboy and Supergirl were going to get combined into, because we also had a Supergirl book going on at the time that ended about the same time. They were going to get combined into a single series, but here we are. It's 1984. We are getting close to Crisis on Infinite Earths, and we don't know. And I think there was, they're starting work on both the Crisis and the books that are coming after it. And I don't know if it was. I don't know if that was because they knew that they were not going to have anybody, Clark as Superboy or a Supergirl, coming out of the John Byrne stuff, or if they just, were like, hey, we're about to change everything up. Let's just wait and see where it goes. But that was the end of that series. All right, so Brian Michael Bendis, New Avengers. So Bendis gets on Avengers, the traditional Avengers series, which at that point was on its third iteration, and does the disassembled storyline where he basically, breaks up the Avengers. And then in New Avengers, instead of creating just another Avengers book, he does it as New Avengers. don't know what the value was in doing it that way, but he creates a new version of the Avengers. They get back together. There's a big break-in or breakout at the supervillain prison, and a certain number of superheroes show up to help out with stopping it. And so they decide to become the new Avengers. Notable in this was the fact that in both cases, Spider-Man and Wolverine both end up joining, and both of them had, in one way or the other, it had been established that they would never be Avengers, that they were just not suited for being Avengers. But Bendis had other ideas. So that is issue 1 of New Avengers, the first series. We got a lot of just pin-up covers, beauty covers from David Finch for the first arc or so. Spider-Woman being another. So we had Spider-Man and Spider-Woman on the same team. This was also where they brought back Jessica Drew as Spider-Woman. We'd had the black-suited Carpenter Spider-Woman and Maddie Franklin and that sort of thing. But they brought back the OG for this series. Issue 5, the Wolverine shot there. Through issue 8, they also brought back the Sentry, which I think he's on the cover of like that first issue, but I think they didn't get around to adding him to the real team until the second storyline, if I remember correctly, because I think they had, the Sentry story had ended at some point, and so they had to, write him back in. Issue 9. Through issue 12. Got the Ronin. Issue 13. Gonna find out who the Ronin is. I think the Ronin was Hawkeye. I think. 13. Issue 20. Or was he Iron Fist? Because Luke Cage. I can't remember now. Going up against Magneto. Issue 21, we get to the Civil War. Some New Warriors fail spectacularly in a fight with Nitro, the exploding man, killing a bunch of people. So there's a registration idea to keep track of all the superheroes and what they're doing and manage some control over them. And Captain America and some other heroes disagree with that premise. Issue 21 through 28. Basically, the pro-registration folks kind of win, and the initiative is the program for registering all those superheroes. Issue 28, 29. But perhaps there's still some conflict involved in all this. Through 32. There. 33. Red Hood. I believe this might be the second appearance of the Red Hood. Maybe not this issue, but, you know, in New Avengers in general, since his original miniseries where he'd been introduced. Putting together a villain team. 40. So this was a main Avengers book. So basically whatever big event was going on, it was going to be happening here. So we get into Secret Invasion. We find out Skrulls have been invading the Earth and secretly, and that a lot of heroes and people that we know were really Skrulls in disguise. And they sort of celebrate this storyline by taking classic covers and doing homages to them, where the all the characters on there are Skrulls, like with their little Skrull chins. There's another one. So that was, because this one was like Avengers #1, and this one is, I forget the number, but I'm terrible with numbers if you didn't know that from watching my previous videos. The one where Spider-Man first met the Avengers. Norman Osborn becomes instrumental in defeating the Skrulls, and that leads to the U.S. government giving him a great deal of power in the government, and so that period is known as the Dark Reign. There, got Bucky / Winter Soldier as the new Captain America, because the old Captain America had died in the Civil War. Continuing Dark Reign. 3 of the powerhouses. There, Luke Cage and Ares and Sentry. Through 56. So Norman Osborn forms his own Avengers. So he and the new Avengers have to fight his Thunderbolts like Avengers. I don't remember what this one was. Luke Cage, something bad. And we have Siege. Siege was, I think the big, where they push back, you know, coordinated effort against Norman Osborn and bringing him down, I think. I need to Google that. Make sure I remember what Siege was. And that was the last. So that was the last issue of that. They had some annuals. Luke Cage marries Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones, known for being the lead character in the Alias series and for having her own Netflix series. Fun fact. So Jessica Jones was created by Brian Michael Bendis, which is one of the reasons why she kind of got pulled into his stuff, to the New Avengers stuff. And he originally wanted to use Jessica Drew as the sort of, you know, failed former superhero who's now a private detective, because actually Jessica Drew, the Spider-Woman, had that she was a private investigator in her secret identity, so it all kind of would have matched up, and I'm not sure why they changed it, other than, you know, her first arc in her own series is a little bit racy, and some genuinely, you know, nasty things happen, and they may just not have wanted to do those things to Jessica Drew, in case they wanted to bring her back more as full-on Spider-Woman. So they decided to create a new version, new character, who would have much less intention on ever resuming her costumed identity. because Jessica Jones was Jewel. As I say, she would never do it, but you know, she did it here for like 5 seconds. There. So then they brought back New Avengers, written by Bendis, with the Thing joining. So at this point, the Thing, Mr. Fantastic, and the Invisible Woman have all been members of the Avengers. Keep that in mind. Johnny Storm will actually join later. But we've got Carol Danvers, Ms. Marvel, not quite. Captain Marvel yet. Issue 1 through issue 8. Going up against Dr. Doom. Issue 9. Original Nick Fury. Going up against the team. Issue 16. Daredevil joining. Fear itself. A bunch of hammers similar to Thor's get land on Earth, and various people get their hands on them, and it transforms them into sort of monstrous versions of themselves. And there's some other stuff going on in Fear itself. Along the way, we have issue 16.1. So the .1 issues were $1 less, and they were kind of just samplers for people who might be interested in a series, giving people a chance to try out some stuff that they didn't normally try out. Issue 17. It's funny, you've got Spider-Man and Thing, because Human Torch has died, so Spider-Man has joined the Fantastic Four, and but they're also members of New Avengers. Through issue 20, we've got once again the good guys versus the sort of equivalent bad guys. There. Issue 21. I believe that's the clone Thor. Thor was supposedly dead, so somebody cloned him. 1 through issue 28. There. Does note we're in the AVX. Avengers versus X-Men. The Phoenix Force is returning to Earth, and the Avengers and the X-Men have opposing views on what should happen about that. And much fighting ensues. Issue 29, continuing A versus X. Got the Illuminati. It was within the New Avengers that the concept of the Illuminati first is introduced, which is where the smartest and the heroes and the leaders, so Mr. Fantastic and Black Bolt and Tony Stark and Doctor Strange, and I'll have a secret group, Professor Xavier, have a secret group that gets together that have been doing it all along, and we didn't know it, to hash out how they ought to do things, which is kind of funny because there have been plenty of times when the teams that those were the leaders of would come in at odds with each other and slug it out. So it's like, well, why did you have to slug it out? Why didn't you just get your group together and work it out there? But anyway, so yes, we're going to see in a bit some more Illuminati, but this is another version of the Illuminati. They brought in Steve Rogers did that. And 34, the end time. So this is our, I believe, our lead up to Secret Wars, the second time. And that's the last issue of that. They, along the way, had an annual. Wonder Man, the character who has, super strength, energy based hero. He decides that he's a pacifist and that that the heroes are doing more harm than good, and so he wants the Avengers to disband, and he goes through a phase with that. Then we get to the next New Avengers. So the regular, there's an Avengers series, but because up to now, New Avengers has been the only Avengers book, but by now there is an Avengers book and New Avengers, and Jonathan Hickman is using them to collectively tell his big tale that is leading up to Secret Wars. So I guess that wasn't leading up to Secret Wars. The other one, that was just saying, okay, we're getting to the end of this series. Nice fingerprints. But it's issue 1 through issue 4. That Galactus. Issue 5. I think the Hickman stuff would read better if you sat down and just read it from start to finish, but reading it month after month, it was a bit hard to follow, I have to say, on my part. Issue 5. Issue 8. Infinity kind of ties into Thanos and the stones. And Inhumans showing up. Issue 9. This is also one of the first earliest appearances of the Black Order, the group of, henchmen for Thanos that we saw in the movies. Issue 12. So Thanos was dead and turned into a statue for a very long time in Marvel continuity. And this is kind of what he looked like. I can't remember why he's, back to being that this here, but that's what he looked like for a while. A statue. Issue 13. Black Bolt of the Inhumans. Issue 20. There, Doctor Strange, kind of out of control. I think maybe the whole Illuminati is out of control. Issue 21. There. We begin probably the stories about the incursions where different universes in the multiverse are crashing into each other and destroying them both. So there's this notion that if you destroy the other universe first, then, your universe won't get destroyed. Issue 24. Counting down to Secret Wars. Issue 25. Through 32. Hyperion. A Hyperion. One of the Hyperions. The Star Brand. Joins. Hyperion being DC or Marvel's sort of copy of Superman that's, so that it was originally so that they could have, Thor fight Superman, as it were, without getting into actually having to have, get rights to using the characters. And they used to pretty much only be for that purpose, but Hyperion keeps being brought back and just used as a straight up character. We've also got the Star Brand was from the concept was from the New Universe line of books from the 80s, and it gets reused here as well. And this version ends with issue 33 as we make our way into the second Secret Wars. Along the way, that series had an annual. There. Doctor Strange looking a little messed up. Then we have another new Avengers. This one is kind of a more of a younger side batch of characters put together. Issue 1 through issue 4. Issue 5. Avengers from the Future. Issue 12, we get into Civil War 2. An Inhuman with the ability to see the future crops up, and the heroes become divided over whether it's okay to punish somebody for something that they didn't do yet, but that they were planning to. Issue 12. Issue 13. There. Through issue 18. And that's the final issue of that one. And then we have the very recent series, as of this recording, New Avengers. Eddie Brock has the Carnage. We got Clea, we got X-23, Namor, Hulk. They don't really so much get all together at the same time as much in this, but and then I think I have issue 7 over by my bed waiting to be read. I think that's in that pile. So only up through issue 6 as of this recording has made it into the boxes. So there we go. Alright, then we get this one shot, the New Avengers Illuminati. Kind of, again, introducing that Illuminati concept. There. Then they got a 5-issue miniseries. Bendis exploring and getting into getting into Secret Invasion. All right, and when I was taking them out of the box, I missed this one real quick. New Avengers finale, the end of the Bendis. Maybe one or the other of the Bendis series. They had this one shot kind of spelling out the last adventure of that iteration of the team. That's actually should have been next. Sorry. New Avengers Most Wanted files. Just another handbook issue with details, text on all of the villains, a ton of Marvel villains the ones that were, in theory, the ones who broke out of the superhuman prison that led to the formation of the new Avengers. We've got New Avengers, the reunion, really focusing on Hawkeye and Mockingbird, who had been married and divorced, and whether they are going to get back together again. Issue 1 through issue 4. Hawkeye gives up. I guess Hawkeye quits being Hawkeye to become Ronin for a while, and Mockingbird remains Mockingbird but drops her old costume and gets a different costume. So, New Avengers, Ultron Forever. So there's 3 of these. There's Avengers, Ultron Forever, Uncanny Avengers, Ultron Forever, and New Avengers, Ultron Forever. And they are a 3-part storyline in which the Avengers fight Ultron in various time and space. Alright, then we get to the New Age of Heroes, New Challengers. So, New Age of Heroes was a line of books that spun out of the Dark Knight's Metal series. At a publisher level, the idea was to create some new heroes or versions of heroes who the artists would share ownership of. And so if anything, if they blew up and anything, they got movies or whatever, then they would get a cut instead of it just being completely owned by DC. In this particular case, they took the Challengers of the Unknown and tweaked it a bit, added a bunch more members. Didn't go very far. Some of the new members do show up in Justice League Unlimited, the current series, as members of the Challengers. There's like the OG team, but there's also the other members, and they're collectively sort of like a support group for for managing things in the headquarters of the Justice League Unlimited. So that's issue 1 through issue 6 there. The other weird thing was, so the artist would get ownership, but most of the time the artist would leave the book before we got very far through the series. Hey, they were here to make them. They weren't here to produce them. We have New Champion of Shazam. So it's basically a Mary Marvel focused series. The problem this was setting out to solve was that Billy Batson was sort of sharing his power with Mary, and when she yelled Shazam, she was calling on the same gods that he was. So if anything happened with him and his powers and his gods, then it would happen to her too. And they were basically trying to go back to the classic version where she had her own goddesses that provided her powers, whose names just happened to line up as Shazam as well. So that's issue 1 through issue 4. Then we get to New Champions. So Marvel did a line of variant covers in which each cover featured a new character who would be like a sidekick to another main Marvel character. And they got a name and everything. But at the time, it was just, that's all as far as we're going to go. It's just a made up thing. But then I guess they got some good feedback on that. So they created this team and they actually fleshed out the characters, and actually made them into real characters in the Marvel Universe. And they end up as members of this new Champions team. So that's issue 1 through issue 4. Gold Tiger is a Black Panther character. Issue 5, got kind of the Scarlet Witch character with the Ghost Rider. Except she doesn't have a car or a bike, she has skates. Through issue 8, and that is the end of the series. And the little Ghost Rider girl has turned up a few times here and there. I think that's the only one I've seen since the end of that series. Then we get to new DNAgents. Some people ignore the new part, but I file it over here. DNAgents started off as a series just called DNAgents, and it is about these artificial beings that were cloned / created as soldiers, and they break out of the project that created them and go out into the world. And so you have Surge and Rainbow and Tank. I don't remember her name. And written by Mark Evanier. And they were, I just like superheroes. They're pretty cool superheroes. So they were published by Eclipse, issue 1 through issue 4, containing artwork by Chuck Patton of Justice League Detroit. We're going to get some early, just don't want to miss it when it happens, early artwork by some prominent names. Who's that? Oh, okay, never mind. Issue 5. Issue 8, right there. Issue 9. Through issue 12. There we go. Issue 13 with cover and art by Eric Larson, early Eric Larson. You Eric Larson fans. Several issues of that, and then the series ends with issue 17 with more Eric Larson. So it looks like he does it all the way through the end of 17. Picked this up somewhere. Just gave it a shot. New Dynamix. It's just its own little world where it's like superheroes are very well established, and some of the team, the big team, the Dynamix has broken up or something, and they have to come back together. It's time for a new Dynamix. So there you go. New Eternals is tied to the Eternals series at Marvel, and I don't know what, it wasn't really all that new. They do fight, the X-Men's apocalypse in this issue, and I'm sure they were hoping it would, lead to something more, but at very least, trademark preservation. Then we get to new Excalibur. So, there's all these new this, new that, and I think it's a perception that just as like when you go to the grocery store and some detergent says it's new and improved, it's probably not. It's probably the same thing that it was before, but saying it's new and improved, tricks you into buying it. So This is a new Excalibur with various members. We've got Dazzler, we've got Peak Wisdom, I can't remember her name, but she's the daughter of Nightcrawler and Scarlet Witch from another timeline. Issue 1. Group issue 4. Lionheart. There. Issue 5. Juggernaut. Issue 8. What's her name? Tessa slash. Oh, what's her name? Shoot, you know, her. Anyway, issue 8. I did just kind of beauty covers on here, so it's hard to remember, the specific storylines. Issue 9. Through issue 16. Issue 17 through issue 24, which I believe is the last issue of New Excalibur and the final book in this box. Okay, so that was 112. Next time we will get into 113. We will continue our move through all things new. We will begin with new exiles. We're going to have some new gods, some new invaders, and we will end with some new mutants. So that's going to be a good time. Hope you'll be here for that. Thanks so much for being here for this one. And hey, have a great day.